Texas is a big state, and if you're looking to move here and not sure which city or which area is best for you and your family, you've come to the right place. In this video, Steve and I are going to go over 6 different items that set San Antonio apart from the other major cities in Texas. We like to call the major cities in Texas the Texaplex. This is a Texas triangle that encompasses all of the major cities in Texas. So you have San Antonio, of course, Austin, Dallas, and Fort Worth. Dallas and Fort Worth you typically hear in one name, right? Dallas, Fort Worth. But they are actually 2 separate cities. And then you have Houston. Those are your major cities in the state of Texas. And we hear from you guys all the time that when you're looking to move to Texas, you look at all of these cities. So we wanted to make it easy for you and give you all this great information with our opinions in there on why San Antonio is better than all of those other cities. So let's get after it right now. If this is your first time to our channel and you would like to know everything there is to know about living in San Antonio and its surrounding areas, make sure you subscribe or tap the bell for notifications to ensure that you're one of the first to be notified when we bring you new market updates. My name is Katie Powers, and my husband Steven Garza and I get phone calls, emails, and texts from people just like you every single day who are looking to make a move into the area. Whether you're 6 days or 6 months away from making that transition, we would absolutely love to hear from you. All of our information is listed right below, and Steve and I would be honored to be your realtors of choice to help you make that smooth transition into the area. Now let's dive in to the top 6 reasons why San Antonio is better than Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Number 1, cost of living. Now, if you want more detail on cost of living, we do actually have a video specific to cost of living that you can always tune in to watch. But for this video, we're going to give you a brief overview. So Houston is probably the closest in cost of living. It's anywhere from 4 to 6% higher than the average cost of living in San Antonio. Then you have Austin, which is crazy. It's crazy expensive in Austin, but it's newer. It's, the capital of Texas, so it's more expensive to be there. It is average much higher. Your house prices are about double of what you see in San Antonio for your average cost of living. And then for Dallas and Fort Worth, it is substantially higher, around 38% higher. The other thing that we want to keep in mind is toll roads. San Antonio and Austin don't have toll roads. And when I say this, I mean there is one out on the outskirts that will get you from like Seguin to Austin on the outskirts. But when you're driving in San Antonio or in Austin on a daily basis, there are no toll roads. If you're going Fort Worth, Dallas, or Houston, there's toll roads. So that's not a major cost, but it is a cost that you do have to factor into your cost of living. You also want to look into daycare and gas and groceries. When I did my research, it definitely is higher across the board on all 3 of those items for Dallas and Fort Worth and Austin. However, Houston's gas prices are always going to be beautiful because they're right there next to all the refineries. So their gas is pretty comparable to San Antonio because we have a lot of oil fields in South San Antonio as well. So overall, cost of living, San Antonio is the least expensive city to live in compared to all the other major cities in the great state of Texas.
Item number 2 is history and culture. San Antonio is full of it. We have a rich history and culture. Founded in 1718, it was a Spanish town mission. As you probably know, watching the Alamo, right? Texas was founded a little bit later, but the city of San Antonio was founded in 1718. Sorry, I'm a history buff or a history nerd. I love it, so I got to pass it on to you. But yes, we have a huge, rich culture in San Antonio. Big Mexican-American influence, of course, being so close to the border. But our outlying cities like Bernie, New Braunfels, they have a rich German culture. And so we blend all those cultures. San Antonio is the #1 visited tourist destination out of the Texas Triangle. So we love that here, tourist money and growth for the city, right? Brings those tourist dollars in and helps us. But we do love sharing our rich culture and history. We have a 3-week-long festival dedicated to it called Fiesta. Look into that, give us a call, ask us. We'll tell you the best events to go to. Those are always fun. And there's some family-oriented ones and then some for the younger generations, depending on which event. But they're all over the city. It's all about the culture of San Antonio. We have the missions located in San Antonio. Many people come from around the world to visit our missions and, take in all the rich history and culture that San Antonio has to offer. And of course, we have the Alamo. You got to do it. I like to do it once a year if possible. Getting downtown for the locals is a little bit hard sometimes, parking and all that good stuff. But the culture and the history of the Alamo, man, you can't beat it. It's awesome to do at least once a year. Take a half a day before it gets hot. All right, so that's one of the big perks compared to Houston, Dallas, Austin. They all have their history, right? They're all older cities, but San Antonio is the oldest and we have the most.
All right, number 3 is weather. You probably hear us talk about this a lot, but it's a really big one, and you guys have told us that it's one of the many reasons why San Antonio made it top on your list for the cities out of Texas. San Antonio is very moderate. It's really in the center of Texas. It's protected by most things, but so is Austin. So when we talk about weather, Austin and San Antonio are very similar in terms of weather. We are hot year-round, essentially. We do get a very mild winter. Snow is rarely an occasion. Typically, we get some ice that melts by noon, because our sun is shining bright here. So you can expect anywhere from 80s to 100 degrees pretty much year-round. Of course, in the summer, you are going to be hitting those 100-degree weather days, but that is why we have so much water around us and water activities. But that is typically, but the key here is when you're in Houston, you're right off the coast, so you get hurricanes, and it floods very frequently in Houston because of all the rain and the hurricane potential. Dallas, Fort Worth has a lot of snow. They are most north in Texas, so you do get a change of weather up there. They do get hot in the summer, but they also have 4 seasons, and they do typically get snow every winter and ice. They're also just south of Tornado Alley. So while they don't get tornadoes all the time, they are right in that Tornado Alley just south of it. They're only 20-30 minutes from Oklahoma. So they're right there on the border. Something to think on when you're thinking in those areas. But as far as weather, San Antonio is the most mild. The biggest thing that we get in this area is hailstorms, and you're gonna get hailstorms all over Texas. You're just getting that cold air meeting the hot air. That's just the storms. So something to look out for is hail, but that's why we have homeowners insurance to protect our roofs, so we don't have to come out of pocket for a whole new roof. But that's really the worst. And when I say hailstorms, let me put this in perspective, because I had a client freak out when I said this the other day. We're not talking softball size hail. It could happen. I have seen it happen. It happened a couple of months ago in Kerrville, Texas. They got some pretty big hail, but here in San Antonio, we typically see pea size, penny size. They're very little. You'll definitely want to move your car in the garage when you see those storm warnings come in. But overall, we're not talking massive hail. We're talking pea size is pretty average for what you see for hailstorms.
All right, number 4 is pace. San Antonio is a slower paced city compared to Houston, Dallas, and Austin. We just are. When you talk to the locals here in San Antonio, we call ourselves the little brother to Houston and Dallas. And that's just because of the pace, right? We're cheaper in every way, But at the same time, we just don't have that fast-paced lifestyle here in San Antonio. Now, if you live here and you're watching this, you could disagree. But if you look at Houston and Dallas and the size, the sheer size of those cities, and just the opinions from what you read on the internet, right? Everybody's gonna mention that Houston, Dallas, and even Austin these days is just a fast-paced city compared to San Antonio. That's an opinion, but I live in San Antonio. I don't consider it fast-paced. Now, when I go to smaller towns, obviously we're faster paced than those. But when I go to Houston and Dallas, man, I'm white knuckling, looking around. It's crazy. And they're flying. They're getting from point A to point B, and they're moving. And so if the local boy gets nervous driving in those cities, yeah, I would be concerned as far as the pace of living.
Number 5, traffic and overcrowding. So those of you who live in San Antonio, give me a minute to explain. We have a lot of construction going on, so I know the locals get really frustrated. But what I want to hit on here is every major city has construction. Every major city has traffic. This is just part of city living, right? But when you compare San Antonio traffic to Austin, Fort Worth, Dallas, and Houston, it's completely different. Like Steve said, we're slower paced, but you can pretty much get anywhere in San Antonio within 30 minutes. Now, if you're coming from Cibolo trying to get to, I-90 on the opposite northwest San Antonio, it's going to take longer. That's a huge span of space. But as far as traffic goes, you're really not ever holding in a holding pattern more than 15 to 20 minutes. When you're in Houston, Dallas, 5 o'clock rush hour, you could be sitting still for an hour. That's just part of those big freeways and the overcrowding and just how big those cities are. San Antonio's not there yet. Right now, it's still pretty easy. Of course, the construction does lead to a little longer, traffic patterns, but overall, you can get anywhere in San Antonio within 30 minutes. They've done a really great job of growing our freeways as we extend out and as we move further and further out. They finished our outer loop 1604. We've grown since they originally decided to build that freeway, and so now they're widening it and making it better. So as we grow, our roads grow. And so one thing I had a client mention about our construction is San Antonio just does all of it at one time. So if you're from another state, when I lived in Virginia, they would really only take out, a mile, and they would do a mile, finish it, move up the next mile. San Antonio doesn't do that. We take on the whole project, and we're gonna do I-35 and 281 and I-10 all at one time. We're just gonna do all the construction so it's done and over and things are great. So keep in mind, if you're coming to visit us or moving in 2025, there's a lot of construction going, but I promise you by 2027, we're gonna have some amazing freeways when this is all done. So we are a slower pace, as Steve said, and our traffic patterns aren't near as congested as these other major cities in the triplex.
Okay, last but certainly not least is military. We are Military City, USA. That is San Antonio's nickname. We have bases all over the city, right? Now, Dallas, Houston, they have bases too. They might be outside of the city, but yes, there are bases there, but we are Military City, USA because we have Randolph on the east side. We got Lackland Air Force Base on the west side. We got BAMC or SAMC, which is the medical hub. So if you've served in the medical field, chances are you are gonna rotate, or you have rotated through San Antonio at some point. Air Force, I think you're pretty much guaranteed to rotate through us. Lackland is the training facility for anybody who enters the Air Force. My own brother went to boot camp at Lackland, and then we also have Camp Bullis, where they do a lot of night ops training. My dad used to train out of there. And we also have the smaller, less known, is Camp Stanley. Wanted to make sure I threw those in there for you. So we do have a total of 5 active military bases in San Antonio. And chances are you've had a friend, a family member who is in the military. They've probably rotated through San Antonio, did their 4 years, 2 years, 6 years, whatever it might have been, and then rotated out. So with that being said, we do have a lot of military communities, right? Around these bases are big military communities. Military loves to be around military. They like to do business with military. We love showing clients in homes and they see all the medals and plaques and they always pick out what they retired as or what they currently are as far as rank. And it's pretty cool to see all their medals and their accolades. So military communities, you love to feel safe in them. You just know as an active military member or retired, you've earned that right, that brotherhood. And so someone like myself won't truly understand it, but I've talked to so many military. My whole family was basically military, all the older generations that have passed. But you know, San Antonio is just a big military community. Lots of people love to retire here because of the weather, like Katie said, and the slow pace versus the other major cities in San Antonio. So we do get a lot of retirees looking in San Antonio, and your dollar just stretches further. All right.
So there you have it. 6 reasons why San Antonio is better than Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. And I do have to do it on my fingers to make sure I don't miss one. But we do want to just reiterate here, a lot of these are opinions of Steve and I. Definitely do your research. If you want to look more into the cost of living, check out the cost of living video we did for San Antonio. And check out everybody else on YouTube and all these other great cities. They will also show you what's great and not great in their cities as well. But again, Steve and I are a little biased. We live in San Antonio. We love it. We go visit friends and family in Houston and Dallas. And I promise you, every time we leave, the first thing we say is, oh my gosh, I'm so glad we don't live here. It's busy. And I get bills like months later for toll roads that drive me crazy. So that being said, it is an opinion. Do your own research. Care.com is a great place to research cost of living in terms of daycare. And then you also have Google, which is great. If you're interested in differences in housing prices, that's where you call Steve and I. We are your experts for real estate here in the San Antonio and surrounding areas. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Drop us a comment. Let us know how we did. Was this helpful? Was it not? Would you like something different or more detailed, more statistics? We're all ears. We love to hear what you guys think and if it was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see y'all on the next